Like, what sort of ideas have consumed you lately?
That we could be going through different worlds at the moment, and we have no
Well,
idea.
aren't we just kind of traveling through the universe all at once at the same time? Sort of by virtue of parallel universes, with every decision that you're making, assuming that free will is a thing, you're transporting yourself into another universe where that decision has now affected everything that happens, right? Is that sort
Right.
of what you mean?
Kind of, except that we all exist in a bubble in our own little Schrodinger's box. So each of us
Okay.
are these little bubbles of awareness, and we're aware of everything around us, but not beyond that until someone else in their little bubble is aware of something. Sometimes those bubbles overlap with each other,
Okay.
and that's where these two worlds combine, and we're all sharing the same world.
So, being a human being, you exist entirely in your own mind and you can't be in someone else's.
Right.
So, your intersections with other people, you're sort of crossing bubbles, and the things in their life don't exist until you experience those events through them.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right. What are we but like a bunch of neurons firing in a skull? Well, what's that but a bunch of electrons just jumping gaps? We don't know where an electron is going to go until it's been there. We can't predict it. We can predict the chance of it going somewhere, but we can't actually predict where it's going to go 100%.
Yeah, you're right. The electron can be anywhere until we take a snapshot of it and figure out where exactly it is in that moment. But ultimately, we're observing again.
We are just electrons voicing our opinions out to the world.
Okay. So we're not the beings in control here. We're just ultimately at the whim of the electrons.
Well, if you make a decision by flipping a coin,
Yeah.
are you giving the coin the option to choose, or are you choosing?
I mean, ultimately, it's all the factors that lead up to the physics of that coin flip, which
Well-
are ultimately determined by electrons. So I think, aren't we the subservient beings here?
Well, can electrons think, though? Like, are we just a hive mind of individuals?
Right. Going by that logic, the electrons are making us have this conversation.
Right.
And, what's the point of it? What could they want out of this? Do they self-amuse? And, is this... By that... we think we're all high and mighty, being able to call
Right.
our own shots and such. And, that we're living. But ultimately, it's these electrons that are jumping around in our system that cause us, to actually do the things that we do. And we consider those electrons inanimate.
Right.
Where the cutoff life is in our system, be it cells or whatnot, that's up for debate. But, ultimately, cells are just a bunch of atoms behaving in a very certain way, and those atoms are all just basically controlled by their electrons.
Yeah.
But how can we even have a coherent thought? That's a whole lot of electrons working together, all at once.
Yeah.
So we're not the slave to one electron, we're slave to, a hive mind of electrons.
Yeah. It's like billions and billions of coin flips going on at once in our head. And we somehow, are able to paint a picture out of that. It's just amazing.
How is this the first time we've recorded one of these conversations? 'Cause
Yeah.
I don't know if you're looking at the timer, but I've got a time code on my recorder right now, and it says we're at 38 minutes and 8 seconds.